You know that feeling when you wake up in the morning and realize your mind is slower, like a fog has settled over your thoughts during the night? That frustration of getting out of bed, already tired, searching for the right word that just won't come, forgetting where you put your glasses that were in your hand just minutes ago. Or worse, completely forgetting what you were going to do when you walked into a room? If you're over 60 and going through this, I need you to know something very important. What's happening to you isn't just a natural part of aging that you have to accept with your arms folded, and it's definitely not the inevitable beginning of a road with no return. There's a very clear scientific reason for this mental confusion that gets worse every day, and more importantly, there's a surprisingly simple solution within your reach right now, something you can start doing tonight before bed, and that can start reversing this process in a matter of days. What I'm going to share with you today will completely change how you understand what happens in your brain during the night. Because while you sleep, while your body rests and the world around you falls silent, there's an extraordinary process happening inside your head, a process that could be saving your memories or destroying them. And the difference between these two realities is directly connected to what you choose to eat in the hours before sleep. I want you to stop for a moment and think with me about something you may have never considered before. During all those nights when you simply go to bed after a tiring day, your brain isn't just resting. It's working on one of the most important processes for preserving who you are. While you sleep, your brain is literally doing a deep cleaning, removing toxins that accumulated throughout the day, consolidating important memories, strengthening neural connections that define your abilities and your personality, and repairing cellular damage that happens naturally as hours pass. This process has a scientific name. It's called the glymphatic system, and it works like a kind of drainage system for the brain that only operates at full capacity when you're sleeping deeply. But here's the problem almost nobody tells you. This cleaning and repair system needs specific fuel to work properly, and if you're not providing the right nutrients before sleep, your brain simply can't do the maintenance work it should be doing every night. Think about the last time you had a bad night's sleep, those nights when you even sleep the necessary hours, but wake up feeling like you didn't sleep at all, with a heavy head, slow thinking, words escaping from memory. What happened there wasn't just lack of sleep, it was lack of quality sleep. Sleep deep enough to allow your brain to do the necessary maintenance. And here's the connection that changes everything. The quality of your sleep, and consequently your brain's ability to repair itself during the night, is directly linked to what you ate in the last hours before going to bed. There are specific foods, simple ones, that you probably already have in your kitchen right now, that when consumed in the evening period, create the perfect conditions for your brain to enter that deep state of repair and cleaning, strengthening memories, building new neural connections, removing toxic proteins that are associated with cognitive decline, and even the development of conditions like Alzheimer's. Before continuing, I need to make a sincere request of you. If this content is making sense, if you're recognizing your own story in these words, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on the notification bell. I'm not asking this out of vanity or for numbers. I'm asking because I know the information I share here can literally change the trajectory of your brain health. And when you subscribe, you ensure you'll keep receiving this kind of guidance that can make all the difference in your quality of life. This channel exists to be a safe space, a place where you're not alone in this journey of preserving your memory, your independence, your identity. Every week I bring science-based information, but translate it into language that makes sense to you, that respects your intelligence and your life experience. So if this resonates with you, hit that subscribe button now, because what comes next might be exactly what you've been looking for all this time. Now, let me explain what really happens during the night in your brain, because when you understand this process, everything starts to make sense. During the day, while you're awake, thinking, working, talking, remembering, your brain is constantly producing metabolic waste, small proteins and toxins that are natural byproducts of neural activity. One of these proteins is called beta amyloid, and it's particularly important because studies show that excessive accumulation of it is directly related to the development of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. During the day, these toxins accumulate in the spaces between brain cells, and if they're not removed regularly, they start forming plaques that interfere with communication between neurons, damaging memory, reasoning, the ability to learn new things. It's like your brain is a busy city that produces garbage all the time, and if that garbage isn't collected and removed daily, the streets get clogged and nothing works right. The magic happens at night, when you sleep deeply. During deep sleep, Especially in the deepest phases of non-REM sleep, brain cells literally shrink, creating more space between them. And it's in this expanded space that cerebrospinal fluid can flow much more efficiently, carrying away all those accumulated toxins, including the dangerous beta amyloid. This process is so important that researchers discovered that a single night of poor sleep can significantly increase beta amyloid levels in the brain, and when this becomes a chronic pattern, when you spend years having low-quality sleep, the accumulation of these toxins can become so severe that it starts causing permanent damage. But here's the hopeful part, the part that should make you feel empowered. You have control over this process, because the quality of your sleep, the depth of it, the efficiency of this nighttime cleaning system can be dramatically improved with simple and strategic food choices. Let's talk about the first group of nighttime foods that can completely transform what happens in your brain while you sleep. And these foods have something very specific in common. They're rich in tryptophan, an amino acid that your body uses to produce serotonin, and then melatonin, the hormones that regulate not only your mood, but mainly the quality and depth of your sleep. When you consume foods rich in tryptophan a few hours before bed, you're literally providing the raw material your body needs to produce natural melatonin, that hormone that will make you fall asleep more easily and, more importantly, stay in deep sleep for longer periods during the night. One of the most powerful and accessible examples is something that's probably in your fridge right now: plain yogurt. A small serving of plain yogurt without sugar, consumed about an hour before bed, provides not only significant amounts of tryptophan, but also calcium, which is crucial because calcium helps the brain use tryptophan to produce melatonin. It's like you're giving your body the right ingredients and also the recipe for how to use them. But it doesn't stop there, because there's a second fundamental element that needs to be present in your nighttime eating: magnesium. Magnesium is possibly one of the most underrated minerals when we talk about brain health and sleep quality, and most people over 60 are deficient in it without even knowing. Magnesium acts in hundreds of chemical reactions in the body, but two of them are particularly important for what we're talking about here. First, magnesium helps relax the nervous system, preparing your body and mind for deep, restorative sleep. Second, and this is absolutely fascinating, magnesium is directly involved in the cleaning process of the lymphatic system, helping remove those dangerous toxins that accumulate in the brain during the day. Foods rich in magnesium that you can consume at night include some nuts, especially Brazil nuts and almonds, but in moderate amounts, maybe a small handful, because you don't want to overload your digestive system before bed. Now, there's a third component that's often completely ignored, but that modern science is showing to be absolutely crucial for brain health during sleep: omega-3 fatty acids. You probably heard about omega-3 in relation to heart health, but what few people know is that omega-3, especially the DHA and EPA types, are fundamental structural components of brain cell membranes. During sleep, when your brain is doing all that repair work and memory consolidation, it needs omega-3 available to strengthen connections between neurons, to protect brain cells from inflammation, and to maintain the fluidity of cell membranes that allows efficient communication between cells. A small portion of fatty fish like sardines or salmon at dinner, consumed a few hours before bed, provides exactly that kind of fuel your brain will use during the night to strengthen and repair itself. But I want you to understand something very important about the timing of these food choices, because it's not just about what you eat, but also about when you eat it. The ideal is to have your last substantial meal at least 2 to 3 hours before going to bed, because you want to give time for initial digestion to happen without your body working hard to digest food while you're trying to sleep. However, and here's the secret that makes all the difference, about an hour before bed, a small strategic snack can be exactly what you need to optimize melatonin production and provide last-minute nutrients for the brain's nighttime work. This snack should be light, easy to digest, and should combine some source of tryptophan with a small amount of complex carbohydrate, because carbohydrate helps tryptophan reach the brain more easily. A perfect example would be that plain yogurt I mentioned earlier with maybe a teaspoon of pure honey, or a few thin slices of turkey breast with 1 or 2 plain whole grain crackers. We've reached a crucial point in the video, and I need to pause to connect with you in a deeper way. I know that while you're watching this, you'll probably identify with many things I've said, recognizing situations you live every day, feeling that mixture relief from finally understanding what's happening and hope that there's a path to improvement. I want you to do something for me now, and more importantly, for yourself. Scroll down the comments section and write exactly this. I want to improve my memory. Just that simple phrase. It might seem silly, but when you put it into words, when you publicly declare this intention, something changes inside you. You're making a commitment to yourself. You're telling the universe and your own mind that you're no longer going to passively accept the decline of your memory, that you're going to take the reins of the situation. And there's more. When you comment, you help other people going through the same situation feel less alone. You create a support community here in the comments, a space where everyone is on the same journey of preserving memory and independence. So do it now, pause the video if necessary, go to the comments and write, I want to improve my memory. This small act can be the first step of a real transformation in your life. Now, going back to nighttime foods, there's a group I need to mention because there's almost magical properties when it comes to brain health during sleep. Foods rich in specific antioxidants called polyphenol. Polyphenol are plant compounds that have an extraordinary ability to protect brain cells against oxidative stress, which is basically damage caused by free radicals that accumulate in the brain throughout the day. During sleep, when the glymphatic system is working to clean toxins, polyphenol act as a support team, neutralizing free radicals and protecting neurons while the cleaning work is happening. One of the most powerful foods in this regard, and one you can consume safely at night, are berries, especially blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries. A small serving of these fruits, maybe half a cup, consumed as part of that nighttime snack I mentioned, provides a concentrated dose of polyphenol that will work in your favor throughout the night. There's another nighttime food that deserves special mention, and it might surprise you, chamomile tea. Now, I know many people drink chamomile just thinking about the calming effect, but what science is discovering is that chamomile contains a compound called apigenin, which has the ability to bind to specific receptors in the brain that promote not only relaxation, but also neuroprotection. Recent studies are showing that apigenin can help reduce brain inflammation, protect against cognitive decline, and improve deep sleep quality, which is exactly the phase when the most intense cleaning of the glymphatic system happens. A cup of chamomile tea about 40 minutes before bed can be a simple nighttime ritual that makes a huge difference in the quality of your sleep and, consequently, in the health of your memory. But now I need to talk about the other side of the coin, because as important as knowing what to eat before bed is understanding what you absolutely need to avoid if you want to give your brain a chance to repair itself properly during the night. The first and most obvious villain is sugar, but not for the reason most people think. Yes, sugar causes spikes in glucose and insulin that aren't healthy. But the more serious problem in relation to sleep is that sugar consumed close to bedtime dramatically interferes with the body's ability to enter deep sleep. When you eat something rich in sugar at night, you're basically programming your body to have glucose fluctuations during the night, and every time your glucose drops abruptly, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol to try to stabilize levels, and these hormones literally pull you out of deep sleep, fragmenting your rest and preventing the glymphatic system from doing its cleaning work. So that habit of eating a sweet before bed, or drinking sweetened juice, or eating very sweet fruits in large quantities is actively sabotaging your brain health. The second villain of nighttime eating is alcohol, and this needs to be said with all possible clarity, because there's a dangerous myth that alcohol helps sleep. Yes, alcohol can make you feel drowsy and can even make you fall asleep faster, but what it does to the quality of your sleep is absolutely devastating. Alcohol drastically suppresses REM sleep, which is a sleep phase crucial for memory consolidation and emotional processing, and also interferes with deep non-REM sleep, which is when the glymphatic system cleaning happens. Studies show that even a single drink of alcohol at night can reduce the quality of your deep sleep by up to 25%, and when this becomes a regular habit, the effects on the brain are cumulative and potentially devastating. If you have a habit of having a glass of wine or a beer at night to relax, I beg you to consider replacing it with one of the alternatives I mentioned, like chamomile tea or strategic snack rich in tryptophan. The third villain, and this is especially important for people over 60, are heavy, fatty, and hard-to-digest meals consumed very close to bedtime. When you eat a very heavy meal late at night, your body needs to direct an enormous amount of energy and resources to the digestive process, and this directly competes with the repair and cleaning processes that should be happening in the brain during sleep. Additionally, heavy meals can cause reflux, abdominal discomfort, and even sleep apnea in some people, all of this fragmenting sleep and preventing you from reaching and maintaining those deep phases crucial for brain health. The golden rule here is simple. Eat dinner earlier and lighter, leaving at least 3 hours between your last substantial meal and bedtime. And if you feel hungry later, opt for that small, light strategic snack I described. Now, I want to share with you something that might seem too simple to be true, but that has a profound impact on the quality of your sleep and the health of your memory. Consistency. The human brain loves routine. It works best when there's predictability, and this is especially true when we talk about sleep. When you establish a regular schedule for your nighttime meals and for going to bed, when you create a nighttime routine that includes these strategic foods I mentioned, you're essentially training your body and brain to optimize all these repair and cleaning processes. Your body starts to anticipate sleep, starts producing melatonin at the right time, your digestive system adapts to meal times, and everything works more harmoniously and efficiently. This means it's no use doing this just 1 or 2 nights and expecting miraculous results. You need to turn this into a consistent habit, into a lifestyle, and when you do that, the results are truly transformative. Let me tell you about a fascinating study that was published recently and that perfectly illustrates the power of these nighttime food choices. Researchers followed a group of people over 65 who had complaints of memory decline and mental confusion. Half the group received specific guidance on nighttime eating, including increasing intake of foods rich in tryptophan, magnesium, and omega-3 in the hours before sleep, avoiding sugar and alcohol at night, and establishing a consistent schedule routine. The other half of the group continued with their normal eating habits. After just 12 weeks, the group that followed the dietary guidance showed significant improvements not only in sleep quality, which was measured objectively using monitoring devices, but also in tests of memory, attention, and executive function. Even more impressive, brain imaging scans showed that this group had reduction in markers of brain inflammation and improvement in connectivity between different brain regions. This wasn't magic. It was simply the result of providing the brain with the resources it needs to stay healthy and functional. But I want to be honest with you about something important. Implementing these changes won't reverse overnight years of neglect with sleep and eating. The brain is resilient. It has an impressive ability to heal and strengthen itself, but this takes time, consistency, and patience. In the first weeks of implementing these nighttime dietary changes, you'll probably first notice an improvement in the quality of your sleep. Maybe you'll start waking up feeling more rested, with a slightly clearer mind. As weeks and months pass, if you maintain consistency, you'll start noticing more substantial improvements in memory, in concentration ability, in speed of reasoning. Some studies suggest it can take 3 to 6 months of consistent changes to see really significant benefits in cognitive function. But each day of quality sleep is a day when your brain is having the opportunity to clean itself, repair itself, and strengthen itself. Now, I want to address a concern that many people have, especially those who are already dealing with more severe memory problems or who are afraid of developing Alzheimer's. The question I hear frequently is it too late for me? Can these changes still make a difference in my situation? And the answer, based on what science shows us, is a resounding yes. Even in cases of already established cognitive decline, even in people who have already received a diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment, which is often a precursor to dementia, improving sleep quality through dietary and lifestyle interventions can make a measurable difference. I'm not saying you'll completely reverse an already advanced dementia process just by eating better at night. It would be irresponsible to make that claim. But what I can say with confidence is that you can significantly slow down the progression. You can improve your quality of life. You can gain additional years of cognitive functionality that make all the difference in your independence and your ability to enjoy life. Let's talk now about how you can implement all this practically, because information without action is useless. I'm going to give you a simple and direct plan you can start following today. First, set a fixed time for your dinner, ideally between 5 and 6 in the evening, if you usually sleep between 9 and 10 at night, just according to your routine. This dinner should be nutritious, balanced, including a source of lean protein, varied vegetables, and a moderate portion of complex carbohydrates. If possible, Include some source of omega-3 in this meal, like that sardine or salmon I mentioned. Second, about an hour before the time you plan to sleep, prepare a light nighttime snack following the guidelines I gave. Maybe that plain yogurt with a little bit of honey and some berries, or a few slices of turkey breast with whole grain crackers, or some nuts with a small banana. Third, prepare and drink your chamomile tea about 40 minutes before bed, making this a relaxing ritual that signals to your body that it's time to start slowing down. Beyond eating, there are some complementary practices that tremendously enhance the benefits of what you're eating. One of them is creating an ideal sleep environment. Dark room, quiet at a cool temperature, between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit ideally. Darkness is especially important because it stimulates natural melatonin production, so consider using blackout curtains or a sleep mask if necessary. Another fundamental practice is avoiding bright screens, phone, television, computer, at least an hour before bed, because the blue light emitted by these devices suppresses melatonin production and disrupts the entire natural process of preparing for sleep. Use this time before bed for relaxing activities like reading a physical book, quiet conversation with someone you care about, gentle stretching, deep breathing techniques. There's an aspect of nighttime eating I haven't mentioned yet that can be a game changer for many people. Adequate but strategic hydration. Staying well hydrated throughout the day is crucial for brain health because the brain is composed of approximately 75% water, and even mild dehydration can significantly impair cognitive function. However, and this is important, you want to avoid drinking large amount of liquid in the 2 hours before bed, because waking up several times during the night to go to the bathroom completely fragments your sleep and prevents you from reaching and maintaining those deep phases essential for lymphatic system cleaning. The ideal strategy is to drink most of your water during the morning and afternoon, maybe keeping a water bottle near you and taking small sips throughout the day, and then reducing liquid intake as evening approaches, taking only small sips if necessary. There's also an important connection between physical exercise and sleep quality that can't be ignored when we talk about brain health. Regular exercise, even if it's just a daily 30-minute walk, dramatically improves sleep quality, especially increasing the amount of deep sleep you can get each night. Exercise also promotes neurogenesis, which is the production of new neurons, increases blood flow to brain, reduces inflammation, and improves insulin sensitivity, all of this contributing to better cognitive health. However, exercise timing matters. Vigorous exercises done too close to bedtime can actually make sleep difficult because they increase cortisol and body temperature. The ideal is to exercise in the morning or at the latest until early afternoon, leaving at least 4 hours between the end of exercise and bedtime. Now I want to talk about a delicate but extremely important topic, sleep medications and their implications for brain health. Many people over 60 end up resorting to sleep medications, whether by prescription or through over-the-counter products, when they start having sleep difficulties. And I completely understand why this happens. The frustration of lying in bed for hours unable to sleep is enormous, and the temptation to take something that makes you pass out quickly is very strong. But here's the hard truth you need to know. Most sleep medications, especially benzodiazepines and some commonly used antihistamines, don't produce truly restorative sleep. They can make you lose consciousness, but they alter the natural architecture of sleep, significantly reducing the phases of deep sleep and REM sleep that are crucial for brain health. Worse still, several studies have shown a concerning association between chronic use of certain sleep medications and increased risk of developing dementia. This doesn't mean you should simply stop taking any sleep medication you're using, because stopping abruptly can cause serious and even dangerous side effects. What I'm suggesting is that you talk to your doctor about the possibility of gradually reducing dependence on these medications while implementing these dietary and lifestyle strategies I'm sharing with you. In many cases, when people start optimizing their nighttime eating, establish consistent sleep routine, improve sleep hygiene, and incorporate regular exercise, they discover they can sleep naturally much better and eventually can reduce or even completely eliminate the need for medications. But this has to be done with medical guidance, gradually and carefully. There's a question that comes up frequently that I want to address directly. What if I work night shifts or have an irregular sleep schedule for other reasons? Do these recommendations still apply? The short answer is yes. The fundamental principles still apply, but need be adapted. if you work at night and sleep during the day, you still need to create ideal conditions for quality sleep. Still need to optimize your eating before the sleep period, regardless of what that period is. The challenge is that working against the body's natural circadian rhythm makes everything harder, because our body is naturally programmed to sleep at night when it's dark and be awake during the day when there's light. But you can minimize the negative impact by being even more rigorous with sleep hygiene, creating a completely dark environment to sleep during the day, using absolutely effective blackout curtains, maybe using a sleep mask and earplugs, and being especially careful with your food choices before sleep. Let me share something that might seem counterintuitive, but is extremely important. Sometimes less is more when it comes to supplementation. There's an understandable tendency to want to take melatonin supplements when you're having sleep problems. After all, if melatonin is a hormone that regulates sleep, taking extra melatonin should help, right? Well, it's not that simple. First, melatonin supplements sold over the counter often contain doses much larger than the body naturally produces, sometimes 10 or 20 times more, and these superphysiological doses can actually dysregulate your body's natural melatonin production over time. Second, the quality of melatonin supplements varies enormously, and studies have shown that many products on the market contain significantly different amounts of melatonin than the label indicates. Third, and perhaps most important, melatonin supplementation treats the symptom but not the root cause of sleep problems. The healthiest and most sustainable approach is to optimize your body's natural melatonin production through the strategies I described: eating rich in tryptophan, exposure to darkness at night, exposure to natural light during the day, consistent circadian rhythm. If you still decide to use melatonin supplements, do so under medical guidance, using the lowest effective dose possible, ideally less than 1 milligram, and treat this as a temporary solution while you implement the lifestyle changes that will allow your body to produce melatonin adequately on its own again. The same principle applies to other supplements: magnesium, omega-3, vitamin D. All of them can be useful in cases of confirmed deficiency, but the priority should always be obtaining these nutrients through a balanced diet rich in natural foods. Now I want to talk about the role of stress and anxiety in sleep quality and brain health, because this is a factor that often sabotages all efforts to improve sleep through eating. You can be doing everything right in terms of nighttime eating, can be avoiding the villains I mentioned, can be drinking your chamomile tea and eating your yogurt with berries, but if you go to bed with an agitated mind, ruminating worries, anxious about the future, frustrated with the memory lapses you're experiencing, all this mental stress will activate your sympathetic nervous system, the famous fight or flight mode, and it will be extremely difficult to achieve deep and restorative sleep. That's why stress management and relaxation techniques need to be part of your nighttime routine as much as food choices. There are several proven techniques that can help tremendously, and the beauty of them is that they're free, accessible, and can be done by anyone. One of the most effective is deep diaphragmatic breathing. That's slow, deep breathing that completely fills your lungs, expands your belly, and that you release even more slowly. Just 5 minutes of deep breathing before bed can significantly reduce cortisol levels, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, and prepare your body and mind for sleep. Another powerful technique is what we call body scanning, where you lie comfortably and mentally go through each part of your body, from head to toe, consciously relaxing each muscle, releasing each tension. This not only relaxes the body physically, but also calms the mind by giving it a specific and peaceful focus, instead of letting it wander through worries and anxieties. There's also the incredible power of gratitude as a nighttime practice, and this might seem corny or overly optimistic, but science proves its effectiveness. Before bed, taking a few minutes to mentally list 3 things you're grateful for that day, even if they're small things like a pleasant conversation, a tasty meal, a moment of peace, this fundamentally changes the emotional state with which you enter sleep. Instead of going to sleep focused on things that went wrong, on worries, on frustrations, you're consciously directing your attention to what's good in your life, and this creates a mental state much more conducive to peaceful and restorative sleep. Studies show that people who practice gratitude regularly not only sleep better, but also have lower risk of depression and anxiety, conditions that by themselves tremendously harm brain health. I want to come back for a moment to talk about the importance of not doing this journey alone. Lifestyle changes, especially when they involve habits you've maintained for decades, are difficult to implement and maintain when you try to do everything on your own. If you have a partner, a spouse, adult children, close friends, share with them what you're learning. Invite them to make these changes together with you. When you have social support, when you have people who understand what you're trying to do and encourage you, the chances of success increase dramatically. Additionally, many of these changes, especially those related to eating, are easier to implement when the whole house is aligned, when there aren't constant temptations around you, when the people around you understand why you're refusing certain foods at night. And here's something that can make a huge difference in your success. Start small. Don't try to change everything at once. The temptation when you learn all this information is to want to implement everything immediately, completely revolutionize your life overnight. But the reality is that dramatic and sudden changes rarely sustain long term. It's much better to choose 1 or 2 changes to start. Maybe establish a fixed time for dinner and add that strategic nighttime snack, and do this consistently for 2 or 3 weeks until it becomes an automatic habit. Then you add another change, maybe eliminate sugar at night and add chamomile tea. And you keep building gradually, 1 change at a time, until an entire healthy lifestyle for sleep and brain becomes your new normal. One thing I can't emphasize enough is the importance of monitoring your progress objectively. Our memory and perception can deceive us, especially when we're dealing with gradual changes. Therefore, consider keeping a simple journal where you record some basic information every day. What time you went to sleep, what time you woke up, how you rate sleep quality on a scale of 1 to 10. If you had notable memory lapses during the day, how your energy level is, your mood. It doesn't need to be anything elaborate, just some quick notes you can make in a notebook or on your phone. After a few weeks following the recommendations I shared, you can look back and objectively see if there are improvements, and this can be incredibly motivating when you see with your own eyes that the efforts are paying off. Let me now talk about a truth that may be difficult to accept but is absolutely essential. The health of your brain and your memory isn't determined only by genetics or chance. It's largely the result of daily choices accumulated over years and decades. If you're experiencing memory decline now, it's very likely that this is a cumulative result of years of poor sleep, inadequate eating, chronic stress, lack of exercise, maybe use of harmful substances. And this might seem discouraging at first, might seem like the damage is already done and irreversible. But the liberating truth is this. If your current state is a result of past choices, then your future state will be the result of the choices you make from now on. You have power. You have agency. You can decide right now that you're going to start making different, better choices, more aligned with the brain health you want to have. And this isn't wishful thinking. It's not toxic positivity. It's solid science. The human brain has an extraordinary ability called neuroplasticity, which is basically the brain's ability to reorganize itself, to form new neural connections, to adapt, and even repair itself in response to changes in environment and behavior. This neuroplasticity doesn't disappear with age. It continues present until the last days of our life, although it may become a bit slower. But this means that when you start providing your brain with the quality sleep it needs, when you feed your body with the right nutrients, when you reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, your brain responds by creating new connections, strengthening existing ones, removing toxic protein plaques, improving communication between neurons. It's a real, measurable process that happens at the cellular level. Now, I want to be very clear about something because I don't want to create false hopes. What I'm sharing with you isn't a miraculous cure for Alzheimer's or other already established forms of dementia. If you or someone you love has already received a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or vascular dementia, or any other form of dementia, these dietary and sleep strategies can help slow progression, can improve quality of life, but won't magically reverse the condition. However, and this is extremely important, for the vast majority of people experiencing mild cognitive decline, mental confusion, memory lapses that haven't yet reached the point of a dementia diagnosis, these interventions can make a dramatic difference, can literally change the trajectory of your brain health, can be the difference between maintaining your independence and cognitive functionality or losing that over the coming years. There's a final aspect I want to touch on before wrapping up, and it has to do with the importance of keeping your mind active and engaged as a complement to all these sleep and eating strategies. While you're providing your brain with the physical resources it needs to stay healthy, you also need to keep challenging your mind, learning new things, engaging in cognitively stimulating activities. This can be learning a new language, a new musical instrument, a new hobby. It can be doing crossword puzzles, playing chess, reading challenging books, having deep and stimulating conversations with people you love. When you combine adequate nutrition and quality sleep with continuous cognitive stimulation, you're giving your brain everything it needs not just to maintain itself, but to thrive. And here's the beauty of this integrated approach. Each element reinforces one another. When you sleep better, you have more energy and willingness to exercise and engage in mentally stimulating activities. When you exercise, you sleep better and have better cognitive function. When your mind is clearer and more functional, you make better food choices and have more motivation to take care of yourself. It's a virtuous cycle that feeds itself, where each improvement makes other improvements easier and more effective. So, to summarize everything we talk about today in terms of practical action, establish a fixed time for dinner, at least 3 hours before bed. Making this meal something nutritious and balanced that includes a good source of lean protein, varied vegetables, and moderate complex carbohydrates. About an hour before bed, have a light and strategic snack that combines foods rich in tryptophan like plain yogurt or turkey breast with a small amount of carbohydrate, and maybe some berries rich in antioxidants. 40 minutes before bed, prepare and savor a cup of chamomile tea, making this a relaxing ritual that signals to your body that it's time to start slowing down. In the 2 hours before bed, completely avoid bright screens, sugar, alcohol, and heavy meals. Create an ideal sleep environment, dark, quiet, and cool, and establish a relaxation routine that can include deep breathing, body scanning, gratitude practice. Get regular exercise, preferably in the morning or early afternoon. Keep your mind active and engaged during the day. And above all, be consistent. Give time for these changes to consolidate and for your body and brain to adapt and respond. I know it's a lot of information. I know it might seem overwhelming to try to implement all of this. But remember what I said. Start small. Choose 1 or 2 changes to begin with. Build gradually. And also remember why you're doing this. You're doing this because your mind, your memories, your ability to think clearly and remember things that matter, all of this defines who you are, defines your independence, your quality of life, your ability to enjoy your relationships and your experiences. Preserving this, protecting this, is one of the most valuable investments you can make in yourself. And the good news, the truly hopeful news, is that the tools to do this are within your reach right now. They're simple, accessible, based on solid science, and start making a difference from the moment you start implementing them. Your journey to better memory, to a clearer mind, to truly restorative nights of sleep can start tonight with the choices you make about what to eat before bed. You have the power to change your trajectory, and I sincerely hope you use that power, that you commit to these changes, that you give yourself a chance to experience how much better your life can be when your brain is receiving what it needs to thrive.